Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. It is the Outlaw Nation in the house. What's up, John?
What's going on? What is happening here in the world? Let's get it on. I'm excited. It's been a long day of shows, but this is the show I was looking forward to the most. Not from a vain situation, but because I love these two gentlemen so much, Dwain Burke and Eric Rodriguez, getting it on tonight. NerdChronic is my boy from the first jump when he first showed up at a Schmoedown. So I'm excited to do all this. When you asked me to be a part of this, I was like, yes, I'll set aside time from my training to take on big time Ethan Irwin, the beast, the monster himself, so I could hang out with you guys. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to it. And shout out to the Call to Action Army. Much love. Much love.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, tonight's all about you, my dude. This is definitely a big week for you. You're going up against Ethan Irwin. No big deal. Definitely one of the biggest, best competitors out there. But you are also one of the biggest and best competitors in Schmoedown out there as well. So I'm excited to see how these guys really are going to go at each other, trying to really debate some really fun and interesting questions. Did you get a chance to see the questions that I posted on Twitter not too long ago?
Say that again? Sorry.
Oh, did you get a chance to see the questions I posted on Twitter?
I did not. So I like walking into this completely cold. If you want to tell me the questions, I'm willing to have a reaction if that's what you're asking me for. I'm down.
Well, yeah, absolutely. When the time comes, please read the questions. But question number one is, what is the best championship match that Rocha has competed in? And obviously, you have several in teams as well as singles. And who knows, in the future, IG or Star Wars, we'll see. To be continued, but there's lots to choose from. The second, what is the most iconic Rocha rivalry? What is Rocha's most iconic rivalry? No big deal. You have been known to, I don't like to say pick fights, but you've gotten into a few Schmoedown fights every now and then.
Yeah. A little rattle in the cage. Not everybody can be Dan Merle and hug hands and hold everybody.
When you're that competitive, things come out every now and again. You feel me? All right, and the third and final question is, what was Rocha's most controversial moment? There's whether it be a challenge, whether it be an interview, whether it be a storyline. So I asked them to get creative, and they gave us some really creative answers.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, if you're not familiar with Schmoebates, thank you so much for hanging out with us today and dropping by. Schmoebates is a Schmoedown-themed debate show where we actually have you guys, the voters, the viewers, really determine who's going to walk away winner today with the bragging rights forever. Both of our competitors, both Eric Rodriguez, aka NerdChronic, as well as Dwain Burke, actually competed previously in a match in Schmoebates just a few months ago. Dwain walking away the winner, Eric obviously the loser. What else? But I'm excited to see them really come back together because it was actually one of my favorite debates I've ever seen on this show. So I'm excited to see back into it.
Well, the thing is, Eric's like a silent, like he's chill. He's a chill assassin. You know what I'm saying? And he's got, and now that he's got the measure of Dwain Burke, I'd be scared. See, Dwain likes to talk over you, get loud, get passionate, get excitable. I respect that. If Eric plays this smart, he can just come right underneath Dwain, undercutting his points softly and surely, and it's going to win the crowd over. I got a feeling this is going to be a heck of a battle that'll match what we saw before between these two great gentlemen.
Absolutely. It's going to get intense. It's going to get bloody, but most of all, it's going to get Western and outlaw-fied. Okay.
Nice.
Competitor. See what I did there? For our first competitor, coming in high, Mr. NerdChronic himself, Eric Rodriguez. What's up, boo-boo?
Hey, everyone. Hey, John. It's good to see you again, man. Hey.
You too, my man. Good to see you. Look at you growing a beard out.
Yeah.
You've been lifting. You look a little jacked. Down in the gym. What's going on there?
I'm hanging out with Paul Yama, like you say. Getting jacked in quarantine.
Your ball tossing the Nelson ball to each other. I respect it.
So are you excited for today?
Oh yeah. I mean, I know I lost to Dwain last time, but I do hold the point that he threw Clark Wolf under the bus for that win. So no hard feelings about that on my end. I stand by what I said.
Who is the real winner?
Yeah.
After all. Yeah. Where your morals lie. Absolutely. But also, you obviously, like you said, you just you did lose to Dwain last time. So are you coming into this match that much more angry for that win?
Yeah. I mean, I want to win. I want to even it up, get 1-1 with him. And that way we can have a rubber match in the future sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick from the chat, a lot of people are really quick to say, bring it on. But also, hey, nerd. I see what you did there.
Yeah,
nice little pun there. Yeah. And, over to our other competitor. He is sitting at 1-0, one of the, best competitors, but one of the best, really concise arguers I've actually seen on streaming today. So I'm really excited to bring him on. Mr. Dwain Burke, what's up?
Oh.
I'm actually sitting at 1-1, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry, 1-1. I apologize. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't like to acknowledge
had an
that.
unfortunate opening round in the tournament.
Oh, sorry. I actually just realized, I'm so sorry, that my battery on my headphone is very low. So I'm going to switch it out for a hot second. I apologize.
All right.
Because I'm a very prepared person.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us here for Schmoebates. I don't know how to host shows usually, so I'm going to do my best here. But yeah, Dwain, you came into the Schmoedown, Dwain, as like a fan, and then you found your way onto the production crew. I remember when you used to show up, you used to bother me all the time, advice for the Outlaw, all this kind of stuff.
There we go. I'm super prepared, guys. Super
prepared. Into becoming
very
part of the production team.
Here.
And now you're you're shooting stuff, you're doing incredible things for the Schmoedown. What's been the journey for you from fan to actual member of the production team? Because you've never short of opinions, they've just gotten louder as you become more and more part of the Schmoedown. Have you noticed that about yourself too?
I think my opinions were always loud. Just now there's people that listen to them. But actually my journey to the crew is actually courtesy of Mr. NerdChronic.
Right on.
We met at that first live event sitting next to each other, and it's become a beautiful friendship and rivalry. Let's see if we can make this as great as some of the things we're going to talk about in question number 2.
I love it.
Well, all great friendships, I feel like, do have some kind of rivalry undercurrent, just a little bit. Sometimes more, sometimes a little undercurrent, but sometimes a big undercurrent. So you'll feel me. So I'm excited to kind of dive into that. So if you're not familiar with Schmoebates, like I mentioned, a Schmoedown-themed debate show. We're going to chat over here, pros, cons, all that good stuff. I just want to let you know about the format. We have 3 questions. Both Eric and Dwain are going to be arguing today. Both John and I are going to be the moderators, but you, the voters, the viewers, you're going to get to determine who's going to walk away with a win. It's going to be Dwain with 2-1. It's going to be Eric in 1-1. We're going to find out pretty soon. But we start off with Dwain answering his, providing his opening statement first for 1 minute, followed by Eric as well. And then we have 4 minutes of open debate and then 1 minute of closing statements as well. We'll be starting with Dwain on the first question. For the second question, we'll be then starting with Eric for the third and final one. We'll be using a beautiful Action Army coin to determine who is going to be going first. Because as much, John, we love you at the end of the day. This is called action. All about the Action Army. And I want to know, are you guys team Boom or you guys want to be AMA 5th anniversary?
Very special. Let's go 5th anniversary. Yeah.
Want to be 5th anniversary here? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. And if it lands on yours, then you get to decide if you want to defer or not, or go first. All right. So, Dwain, you do have 1 minute on the clock to provide your opening statement. And, John, will you please do the honor of reading the question, please?
Yeah. Are you putting it up on the screen or am I?
They're at the bottom.
Oh, at the bottom? All right. Let's take a look right now. Of the StreamYard? Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, yes. What? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. What is the best championship match that the Outlaw, I'm going to say the Outlaw, has competed in? And that doesn't necessarily mean any one that I've won. It could just be the one I've competed in. So what is the best championship match that the Outlaw has competed in? Gentlemen.
All right, Dwain, you have 1 minute on the clock to give us your answer and give us a brief summary in your favor, starting now.
All right, so when you're picking the best championship match, I think you got to go with the one that started it all. Rocha Merle won. If Rocha had lost that match, what would have happened? And you would think that it would be this great story where the Outlaw rides off into the sunset, but he said, fuck no. Let's go back to the OK Corral and let's shoot him up some more. He wasn't resting on his laurels. He said, I'm going to build my legend on the foundation of this win. We wouldn't have the great top 10 Patriots matches that we got. We wouldn't have the Bibbs rivalry. We wouldn't have the tackle. We wouldn't have Houston without Rocha Merle 1.
And time. Great match. One of my favorite matches of all time. Absolutely. And not kidding, a lot of things, happened because of that match, very specifically. And over to you, Eric. You also have 1 minute on the clock to let us know your selection. All right, starting now.
All right. And I admit that's a great pick to start with. That kind of went through my mind as well. However, as great as that is with a kind of open, like a starter to the story of the Outlaw that we know now, I chose kind of like the bookend from what we kind of know more recently, which was his match in Orlando against Corruption. Because you asked Dwain what would have happened with that match against Merle if he had lost. We know what would have happened in the match in Orlando if he had lost. What he has said famously on several streams that he would have walked like that. But that would have been the end of the Outlaw if we knew it. So there were a lot of stakes on the line. That's why I do enjoy it so much. Is because it had stakes against going against Corruption again. It had stakes him and Dan potentially breaking up as partners. It had secret stakes that we weren't even aware of at the moment, which was him potentially walking off from the show entirely. So we didn't have the ability to kind of like gauge the magnitude of what was happening at the moment, but it was still big when we finally got that win. We finally saw what happened. The crowd, the energy of the crowd kind of drove it forward. And now I think it's the staple of like his career at the moment.
Absolutely. Not to mention live events. They definitely have a certain energy to them. You're a performer, Outlaw. You know that. Absolutely.
Nothing like the crowd.
Oh yeah, it definitely does something to the body. That's for sure. Okay, well, before we kind of dive into the actual 4 minute of debate itself, what do you think of these picks, real quick? What are you excited for them to kind of talk about?
Well, I love what Dwain brought up, the idea of like if I hadn't beaten Dan, what would have been my legacy in this game, in this Schmoedown? Would I have constantly come up close to Dan and never been able to beat him? But having beaten him kind of solidified me in people's minds, and also was essential to the fact that like it was such a long time to get there. So pretty incredible for him to bring that up. Hadn't even thought about that before, what my life would have been if I hadn't beaten Dan in this game. And also what Eric brought up, I think I really enjoyed too, the idea of like, well, if I had won that one, I'd be gone. So the stakes on both sides are very interesting, determining what my future would have been as a competitor, depending on the results of both those matches. So I can't pick one just yet, so I want to hear the debates for sure.
Yeah, okay, we can't go into this, biased, of course, but I am excited about this idea of an Outlaw what if universe. For sure. Coming to Disney Plus near you. All right. You guys have 4 minutes on the clock to start debating right now.
I'll let you go, my friend.
All right. Well, first things first. Rocha would have walked. Come on. Would have walked my ass. There's not an ounce of quit in that man. And we all know that. He would have came back like he always comes back. Just like after Bespin, guess what happened? He came back and he won the title. You want to say like, oh, live events? Would we even have live events if it wasn't for the drama and the gravitas of Rocha versus Merle? We wouldn't be in a position where we would have gotten Orlando if it wasn't for that match.
That makes sense. But however, I do think that the, like I said, live events, which we all know and love, stemmed from potentially Rocha's different rivalry with like a different person, which we'll probably talk about later. The thing with Merle, it was great, but shortly after that, they had one more go where Merle got it back. Then Merle shortly walked away. And the whole thing, in my opinion, kind of like felt like it started strong. It cemented legacy for sure, but then it kind of like drifted in different directions. Whereas Orlando, again, it's my favorite like bookend to like kind of Rocha's story of that year for sure, but also kind of like somewhat of his career winning the team's title for the first time, which he had sought after for a long time against a certain other team. And so I do think that it kind of had a different impact on the show, especially moving forward into what we now know as the new era.
That's a good argument, but I'll also say that when we talk about Rocha and Merle, we're talking about the GOATs of the game. And when you talk about Rocha and his argument for the GOAT, it's his record against Dan Merle. And where did his winning record against Dan Murrell start? It started there with Rocha Murrell 1. It's the foundation of the legacy. That's the foundation. All of your house is built on the foundation. Everything that came after is built on this win and his drive to win that belt.
Yeah, I do love that we're kind of arguing just like two things at the end of the spectrum, which is just that I prefer the end of the spectrum. I prefer the other end, which is just that, I love that we can see him reach some sort of like visible moment of accomplishment when he's on stage in Orlando with the crowd behind him again, lifting the 5, doing the whole thing. And it's kind of why I really loved having that moment in my back pocket for the documentary when I finished it that way, because that's what people wanted. That people want to see him at his highest. I think that was probably the highest point in his career for the championship moments, and seeing him with Dan come together to win that simultaneously for both of them for the first time. It's a beautiful moment, I think, for both competitors involved. I do think it's something that led him into his final accomplishment of the year, which was defending that belt in Spectacular.
I mean, you want to talk about the beautiful moment, the win. I don't think you can top the genuine surprise when he won. You could see it on his face. He's like, wait, I won? And then the tears. There hasn't been another moment on camera where he was in tears, because that's how much that match meant to him. It's always about your first. You never forget your first.
Except for my moment when he also broke into tears on stage in front of hundreds of people in Orlando at a live event, also winning a belt.
Was it when he won the belt, or was it during the post-match interview?
It's all one thing. It's all part of the process, all the experience.
Because he was in tears before the belt was even in his hands.
10 seconds.
Oh, so he was, yes, true. But I do think it's all part of the same process, all part of the same experience of winning a specific moment, which is the championship, not the belt, but the championship match itself.
And time. Whew. Okay, so a lot of great points were made, and I kept thinking to myself, the tears. We've seen tears. Rocha's a very passionate guy. We've seen tears.
True. Very true.
On more than one occurrence, from what I remember. But it's not me. Like, it's a great thing. You're a passionate guy. Things are going to happen. Absolutely. True. How are you feeling about this? I love the caps lock.
I'm loving it. It's very fun to listen to these arguments back and forth for sure.
Yeah. Well,
I have my own notes, but yes.
Oh, well, exactly. That's what I kind of want to hear about. What are some of your notes? From how are you feeling? Do you feel like anything is right, wrong in particular from what they're saying?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I enjoy both of the presentations of both. Like, this is a very civil debate. I'm used to me and Bibbs yelling over each other, so this is a new experience for me. This is fantastic to watch. Dwain doing his side of things. I did not cry after I beat Dan, so him saying that was I don't remember tearing up at that one, but I do remember the Orlando one, that's for sure. I think where Dwain missed some points was like talking about my journey, how it was a year-long journey to get to that moment. Therefore, the championship match meant that much more. On the other side of things, Eric not mentioning the other 2 losses to Corruption, not mentioning how I had won the belt already in the tag teams division earlier, and how much it was to get back to try to get that again. So some of those points were missed, I think. But overall, they presented both presented really well what they were pushing and why they chose that match. So I got a good idea of why both of them chose the matches that they chose. I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more about the history of getting to those matches, not just in those, and maybe some conversation about what happened within the matches in both of those matches. Because I was, I missed the first 2 questions in the 3rd round. It looked like I was out in the Dan match, and in the Corruption match, we were pretty much steamrolling those guys. So like that's a thing you could have brought up as well. But overall, interesting arguments for sure.
Absolutely. Every time someone says best spin, I naturally think B spin though, based off our conversation. I remember them do that. I can up, I'm like B spin, and no one ever corrected me for the longest time. So whatever. Yeah. But I'm not hateful, Now something I feel like Eric did mention that did kind of give a slight one up. I would love to see you, Dwain, address is that a lot of people didn't like obviously Rocha's a really great competitor, but there was this idea that you're not a true champion until you defend the belt, and that didn't really happen as far as as I can remember, until he was able to successfully, defend it against corruption. And so that's something you definitely had a, one up on there. I didn't really see him address. But also, like you said, there is something to be said about the real energy behind that match against Merle as well. It is like still used in promos today, not just for stuff referencing Rocha, obviously, but beyond. So I would love to kind of hear both you guys talk about, the history and also like what it means for current matches as well. But yeah, a lot of history talk, which I'm so excited for. Okay, so we are going to be going into the closing statements. You guys have 1 minute apiece, so let us know and really solidify your answers. Get everyone to vote in your favor, and we'll see how it goes and really address some of the questions and concerns that both Rocha and I had as well. All right, Dwain, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. You have 1 minute on the clock starting now.
All right. So it's all fine and good to go with the most recent thing that you can remember. And I'll tell you right now, Rocha did cry. I rewatched the match on purpose because I wanted to watch that reaction at the end, because that was one of the most important things for me about that, like picking that match, was the ending and the genuine joy and surprise and the realization that everything that he had put into that year had ended exactly the way he had visualized it. Like, and then to continue to build his legacy, he could have walked away like somebody after he did everything he wanted to in the game. Ooh. But no, he didn't. He said, wow, I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to do even more. And that's kind of why, like, it doesn't get any better or any bigger than the start of this story.
And time, perfectly timed. Absolutely. The true start of Rocha's journey. It sounds like you're kind of really putting that together. Okay, Eric, love to hear your closing statements. You two have 1 minute on the clock to let us know why we should vote in favor of yours, Corruption versus Founding Fathers. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, you have 1 minute starting now.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the fact that he won that against Morrill, and then that cemented his legacy, or it started his legacy upward towards doing other things. He didn't want to retire after that accomplishment. However, he has said famously that he hasn't done what he wanted to do in the league for a long time. He wanted to defend the belt. By the time he won against Dan, didn't defend it yet. He won it, needed to defend it, didn't get a chance until he was able to win that team's belt. And yeah, John, you had mentioned that I glossed over the kind of rivalry that you had between Corruption going into that match. And that is a big thing because, yeah, they had your number for 2 games, one being a kind of wishy-washy one that we'll talk about soon, I guess. But also after that fact that we had the second one where they kind of just like had your number even more so, and you guys felt like you just couldn't get it. So when you came to that match in Orlando, you guys were playing lights out. You guys didn't miss a question. You guys played a game for the ages, and you were able to beat them pretty much hands down. Like, they did not have a chance against you. I do love seeing you guys come and dominate and put it into another gear that you didn't even know you had inside yourself.
And time. Whammy. Oh, that was fantastic. Both these competitors are solid. Okay, so we're going to take a minute, really kind of digest everything. Everyone in the chat, please go make your votes known. Jake is over in the chat, going to be sending out the, necessary link and all that good stuff. It should be in the description box below. So let us know who made a better argument. Is it in favor of Eric with the Founding Fathers versus, Corruption over in Orlando not too long ago? Or is it with Dan Merle versus Rocha, their first match? Just want to clarify. All right. Whew, okay, and real quick, going over to the Streamlabs, there's a lot of love, overall. Real quickly, just want to highlight someone saying at the very top here, where if I can find it, that would be great, but I can't find it right now. But Samir Tesfaye says Lawrence Dwain Fishburne. I don't know what that means, but okay. Thank you for donation. I appreciate it. Lawrence Fishburne is a pretty fantastic, wonderful actor in every single way. Okay. Jake Berlin says crossover deposit. Love y'all. Also, Bren Rayner just says, hey, all around just curious, which do you prefer if it's different, the prequels or 7 through 9? Oh, wait, that's an old one. Forget me saying that. I just realized it said 2 days old, not 2 minutes. Never mind. Forget me. So... Forget me. Anyway, regardless. Okay, so how do you guys feel about your first debates? Over and done with? Are we moving on to the next one? And do you regret not saying anything?
I mean, you can always Monday morning quarterback and be like, "Oh, I should have said this. I should have said that." But I think I'm confident in what I said in the moment. But it's in the voters' hands now.
Yep, same.
No pressure, guys. No pressure. It is indeed in your hands. Go vote. Yeah, that's a reference to another match as well. But N7 Shepherd, not gonna lie. Wow, that was intense. Oof, that was rough. Okay. All right. We are just real quick. You can send us some Streamlabs through there. Everything is in the description box below. So go do that or do a super chat. We appreciate everything. Every cent counts. All right. We're going to be moving on to the second round question. Rocha, are you excited to hear these guys talk about this question?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a little fun, man. I love this idea. This is going to be a good question.
This is going to get beefy, and I'm excited. It's so perfect. Okay, please do the honor in reading the second question.
Wow. All right, second question. What is the Outlaws' most iconic rivalry? What is Rocha's most iconic rivalry?
I think it's just so on brand for you to put down the Outlaw instead of Rocha.
Yeah.
Which is out.
It's not Rocha picking the fights. It's the Outlaw. I don't know what happens when I put the hat on, but he comes someone else. That's for sure.
But it's the most on-brand thing you can do being on this stream, which I appreciate.
True.
Yes. All right. For this round, we're going to be starting with Eric with the opening and closing statements. You have 1 minute on the clock to let us know your pick of most iconic rivalry. There's so many to choose from. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. You have 1 minute starting now.
Yeah, like you say, there's so many to choose from. I mean, the Outlaw, we'll keep it with the Outlaw, has had his fair share of, terrors at people that we know of who have come and gone, who are, still around in some fashion. However, I think the most iconic is the one that's still here, which is Dan Murrell. And yeah, he's his partner now. However, that does not negate them from continuing that rivalry going into potentially his next victory. If he does the deed against Ethan Irwin, it's coming up again. We're going to see that match again. We're going to see those two go at it, and that rivalry is never gone. It's like Rocky and Apollo, like we get that exhibition match. We get to see them go at it in a friendly manner. It's going to be big. It's going to be loud. We know it's going to be impressive, and it's something that's going to be cemented in part of the Schmoedown from the get-go, as Dwain had said. It's part of the legacy of the Schmoedown, not just their legacy, but the show itself. I think it's very important to acknowledge that they have something that will never end between one another.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Just letting go of the last few seconds. Totally awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Great choice. It's almost emphasizing, Dwayne's pick from the previous round, which is kind of interesting, but no doubt, definitely great pick for sure. All right. And over to Dwain. No pressure. Let's see if you can one up it. You have 1 minute on the clock to let us know your choice starting now.
Yeah, like you said, this is going to be timeless. It's going to be endless. And in order to compete with something like that, I kind of had to take it to a different place. This rivalry wasn't Rocha on his own. And it includes probably the most hated team to ever grace the stage. I picked top 10 Patriots. And when you talk about that rivalry, you're talking about arguably what some people want to say is the best team to ever play the game, but you're only as good as your competition, and that's top 10, and that's the Outlaw. I yield my time.
Oh, okay.
I'll leave the rest of that out of there.
But it's like just for dramatic effect. Silence.
Yeah.
Build that tension. All right. Just want to say hi to everyone in the chat. We have quite a few people that are dropping in for the first time. What's up, Lon Harris? Hey, dude.
Yo.
Is that the professor or the delinquent hiding in there? From the picture, I'm not so sure. So
seems like delinquent to me. He made a Cat Baloo comment.
There's a pipe though. There's a pipe. So that looks pretty professor to me. Yeah. So there's a lot of mentions in the chat. Yeah, so this is going right to GT's head. Probably.
Doesn't that far to drop? Yeah,
exactly. Also, a real quick, Movie Finobi says, look at this master editor turned debater. Make your cases. Love and support to Eric. Good night, everyone. Be kind to each other and only argue like my Italian family dinners growing up. And I feel like we would need a lot more hand gestures if that's the case. Very Italian. Very Italian. All right. Okay. So you guys have 4 minutes on the clock to make your case. Are y'all ready?
Yep.
All right.
Yep, I'm ready.
4 minutes starting now.
So yeah, I mean, you brought up JTE and Snyder as the Patriots run, like their rivalry with top 10 for sure. But again, it's something that I think that was fiery at the time, but Rocha never overcame, unfortunately, and it kind of like drifted away. We saw how the league turned into like a year and a half ago, and that rivalry never got to have any sort of like, I think, meaningful conclusion. And it's now it's gone. Like, we're just probably not going to have it again. It's not going to come back in any sort of meaningful way.
Just because it's not meaningful forever doesn't mean it's not meaningful. It's like when you look at like actual sports, you talk about like the Jets and the Patriots. The Jets don't ever win, but it's still like a huge rivalry for Patriots fans. Like, it just because someone doesn't win doesn't mean it's not a rivalry. They keep coming back. They keep going at it. It's a rivalry. Regardless of it's all one-sided, it's still a rivalry. There's still fire there. There's still something there that makes it interesting.
And that's why I do think my pick of Rocha and Merle is what fits the bill, like right here. It's because they keep coming back, like they came back. We saw that moment on stage when they became the Five Horsemen. They had that momentary pause. They did the handshake. We know that's them putting aside differences to do something special. However, they know in the back of their minds, in their hearts, they're both rivals and they're both going to give it their all. If Rocha goes all the way and makes it to Dan, and for a fact that match is going to have some fire in it. They're not going to let up 1 second against each other because they respect each other too much, and that's what good rivals are. They respect each other in a certain fashion.
Do they though? That's more like professional respect. Real rival, there's no respect. Top 10 doesn't respect the Patriots. They don't give a crap about the Patriots. They want to crush them into dust. You don't have to respect your opponent at all to be a rival. And I think if you're really rivals, you really don't.
You don't have to, but I think that's what the best ones do. I think that's when you recognize their talent and you're able to compete against them at a certain level where you want to beat them, but you respect that they have it in them to beat you, and you acknowledge that. I think that's a good thing to have. I think that's what makes rivalries last a long time, go the distance in people's memories. And I think people are going to be very excited to see Dan and Rocha go at it if that happens again.
I mean, in this instance, I think what kept this rivalry lasting is more so, not anarchy or geographics. Like I think that's what kept this going, not so much the lack of a desire to keep it going. It was a lack of people staying in the league.
That's fair. And that's what happens, I guess, right? That's the way the cookie crumbles. However, in that sense, we do have two people in my pick that are part of the league in a way that we know they're not going to go anywhere. It doesn't matter if they're a million miles away. Like, they're going to keep going at it. They'll fight online. They'll fight outside. They'll fight in a boxing ring, wherever they got to do it, because that's how they know. That's what they need to do. They filmed a scene for fun about the rivalry, literally recreating the Rocky and Apollo match because they know they're the most iconic duo.
Shit, where were we at? I saw her flash the time, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
Under 30 seconds, I think.
Okay, so we're at 30 seconds now.
Okay, cool. You're right. They will always come back, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's iconic. Like, sometimes things come back, and you don't want them to. Not that I don't want Rocha and Merle to come back, but like just because it keeps coming back doesn't mean that it's iconic. It just means that it keeps coming back.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, I think the best rivalries never really end. And that's again the main point. And I do think Rocha and Merle will always be rivals, even though right now they are partners. They always have that inside themselves.
And undercurrent rivalry. Can you confirm or deny this kind of feeling?
What? Be specific with your question.
Well.
Do I always want to beat Dan when I play Dan? Yes. Do I always measure who I am by Dan? Yes.
I just think no matter who you go up against, something to clarify is I think you just want to beat everyone.
This is very true.
Yeah, you want to beat everyone. Sure, Dan as well, but every single competitor in every single way, shape, and form.
I've never achieved the respect I've sought in this game. No matter how many people I beat, people always go, I don't think he's that smart. I host 700 podcasts about movies. I don't think he knows that much about trivia. Oh, Ethan knows twice as much as John. Kiss my ass. I know a lot about movies, and I hate when people say that kind of stuff. So I'm just letting you know. So I absolutely, and if I can comment on both of these arguments, I enjoy the hell out of both of them. That's for sure. Dwain and Eric being very respectful with each other, hearing each other's points, responding to them in eloquent manners, and I appreciate that very, very much. Eric brought up some interesting points with me and Dan. Sure, I guess he kind of unearthed something. Someone mentioned in the chat, did you see Rocha's face twitch just now? And it was like, because it's been a long time since I've thought of Dan as a rival, but it's always bubbling below the surface. It's always just sitting there. And if I'm fortunate enough to take care of business against Ethan on Friday, then all of that will come storming out for us to go at it one more time. And, Dwain brought up interesting points about the Patriots. Certainly, it's an interesting call them a rivalry because we've never beaten them. However, we beat so many great teams to keep trying to get back to that mountaintop to take our belts back from them, and we never could get the job done. But the rivalry was still there because he's right. We hate them. There's no world where Nost and I don't still hear the word the Patriots and don't get upset, hear that Dropkick Murphy song, and don't start kicking holes in walls. It's just our nature when we hear it. In fact, we brought it up on a recent top 10 episode. Matt's like, don't mention that name again. We kept moving forward with our conversation. So there's certainly still anger towards that team. But with Dan and I, that's an interesting thing, like the rivalry there. I'm kind of surprised, though, Alex. No one chose call to action for the love of God. Maybe one of the most heated, short-term, but certainly incredibly heated rivalries. That flowed into reality. There was real anger between the four of us. There was real possible fisticuffs.
Just to clarify, not me personally.
No. But certainly Andrew, Ben, and Matt and I, there were moments for that we were going to go at it physically. That's for sure. So but I enjoy both of these rivalries, and I appreciate the fact that both these gentlemen are arguing them so well.
It's actually funny you kind of bring that up because Jake Yakuveta actually made in a Streamlab mentioned, the Outlaw versus Call to Action is the true greatest Schmoedown rivalry. And I'm like, you know what? I respect that. I actually kind of love that. Another one, Movie Fanobia, like you mentioned that one earlier, but also Samir says Morpheus, a.k.a. Dwain, won round one. So, okay. That's not set in stone yet. Everyone has to go and vote and make their opinions known over there. Just want to let you know. But yeah, so everything you guys said, I agree 110%. It's, the Patriots, what an iconic team. What if they were still together? Who the flip knows? Oh, wow. What could have been. But also, Dan Murrell, like you said, I mean, they were active competitors, rivals for a long time, and now they're pseudo brothers, so it's very different relationship, and it hasn't been for a hot minute, but who knows in the future. So I'm excited to see them kind of mention it later on. Now I do want you guys to kind of go into your closing statements. I haven't heard you really guys talk about all that much. I would really love for you to mention the storylines going into it. How were the storylines like going into these? How did the fans amp up these rivalries? Did people care about these rivalries, or am I just making things up? I don't know. So I would really love to hear, just not only about the storylines, but also how did people feel about them? Were people like more passionate about one than the other, or whatever it may be? Okay. Now we are going to continue with Eric on this closing statement. You have 1 minute on the clock. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. 1 minute starting now.
Yeah, if we're going by storyline, is what this means between Dan and Rocha is just that, like you said before, the storyline going into their championship match was big, and we saw the crowd in the studio react to that. The storyline when Dan left and then came back is now one of the most iconic moments in the entire show when they're on stage becoming the Five Horsemen, and again, them shaking hands and realizing that they are now teammates and not just former rivals. And now going into what they are potentially going to get into with the title match, if Rocha takes care of business against Ethan, he goes against Dan. That's going to be a huge storyline. You think that's going to be one of the biggest promos I'm ever going to have to make? It's a huge undertaking, and no one's going to be expecting any less. And people know the gravity of that specific match. And if Rocha is able to face down again, people know that's going to be one for the ages. No questions asked.
Okay, cool. I just want to name drop that, Eric is, the editor behind Schmoedown. So if you didn't know, now you know. All right.
And I will say, I have a song ready. If that's the case.
Oh my God! Don't jinx me like that, man.
I have songs for every scenario.
Yeah. Oh, good. You have a song for Ethan too. Good.
Always prepared. Eric is that guy. Always prepared for everything. I love it. All right, over to Dwain. Are you also ready for your closing statement for the second round?
All right, let's do that.
You're doing your cracks. I feel you. Or I'm more like I can hear you, really. But all right, are you ready now?
Let's do it.
All right, you have 1 minute starting now.
All right, so you want to talk about the fans and how the fans were invested in this rivalry. Well, they kept tuning in to see. Could top 10, could Rocha do it? Could he catch his white whale? Could they beat the Patriots? Rocha's proven that he can beat Dan. But against the Patriots, there's still something left in the tank. There's still something there. He said it. It still angers him that they never beat them. And that is a true rivalry. It's still there. Even to this day, knowing that they're not even a team anymore, he's still so angry that he never got that chance to prove that he could conquer
10 seconds.
That horrible song, A Little Evil, and that loudmouth Bostonian.
What could have been? Do you still cry yourself to sleep a little bit at night knowing that there is that team of what could have been
Alex,
out there?
I do not cry myself to sleep, but there are moments where I hear that song if I'm walking around or it comes on my iPhone or it's just a random movie or whatever that the fists do clench for sure. I hate that song when it shows up in sporting events and I can hear it. I just want to throw something at the television. So, and more than anything else, because I actually loved that song before we played the Patriots, and now you've taken away the joy of that song from me for sure. So it's a shame.
It's true. I have that feeling with a bunch of songs, especially for me, a lot of famous, really great themes, theme songs, and then I'm I associate it with movie, and I'm well, now it's associated with the villain, so I can't like it anymore. Gosh, or whatever may be. So
True.
Yeah. So, gosh. Okay, guys, you guys are over in the chat. Let us know your opinions. Is it Dan Murrell, being singles / teams-ish, or is it alternatively, or is it the Patriots? Let us know. You guys have been fans, for a very long time. Maybe you're not, but what do you guys think? Is which one who's going to walk away with that second round question for sure? Who do you think? Who do you feel angrier against right now to go up against in the future? Who would you be more excited to go up against? If Christian came to you and be hey, who do you want to play? This one or this one? Which one would you want to take?
Right now, if I was to play the Patriots or Dan Murrell. Now, wait, does Dan Murrell have the belt? No, don't ask me that.
Sure.
Right now,
both of them have the belt. Let's say you are working your way up towards both of them.
Do I have Dan Murrell by my side to take on the Patriots, or do I have Matt Nost?
Let's say yes.
I have Dan Murrell?
Sure.
Yeah, then we go to the Patriots. Absolutely. Okay. That's the first choice. Yeah, that's there's unfinished business there with me and them. For sure. And you can get those two balding SOBs back together again and we'll go ripping to pieces. I'll tell you that right now. You wake JT up from his slumber, from his nap he's having in the middle of the night, bring him out here. And Jeff Snyder, you rattle him. My God, I would love to play them again, especially with Dan Murrell by my side. Oh, the mess we'd make of them would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. It was also a very different time for Schmoedown, absolutely, for competitors and everything. So I'm kind of curious how that would translate a little bit, if we can kind of put the Founding Fathers back in time a little bit for sure. But also Murrell. I mean, I had to say it, some of my favorite, not only Schmoedown matches of all time, but some of my favorite matches with you are almost exclusively with them.
Yeah.
With Murrell. So, Wham,
Right.
bam. All right. Okay. So we are going to be diving into our third round of questions here. And for a third and final question, if you're not familiar, like I mentioned, we're going to be using this beautiful, Action Army coin to determine who is going to go first, really. We already chose earlier that Eric is going to be on the 5th anniversary right here. And also Dwain, alternatively, is going to be on the boom side. All right. Okay. It is 5th anniversary. So, would you like to go first or defer, my dude, Eric?
I'll defer.
Defer. All right. Dwain, you
Smart
have
move.
1 minute on the clock to let us know your opening statement. Now, are you excited for this question in particular, Rocha?
Yeah. I want to see what these two guys are bringing to the table here. This has been a bit civil. I need you guys to mess it up and get in the pit a little bit. If you're going to argue about the Outlaw, you got to argue about the Outlaw and not have this civil discussion like you're having tea on a Sunday afternoon in Britain somewhere. Get in the pit. Get in the pit.
This is Outlaw Nation.
Yeah.
Where's the outlaw attitude? The question is, please read the following question.
What
Rocha?
was Rocha's, a.k.a. the Outlaw's, most controversial moment?
And we're going to need some outlaw attitude up in here. So,
Controversial.
All right. Controversial. Dwain, you have 1 minute on the clock to let us know your answer starting now.
Okay, so when I thought about controversial, I mean, obviously the Outlaw is controversial. He's passionate. He explodes with excitement, exuberance, anger sometimes. But this controversy, he was actually on the right side of history, in my opinion, on this one. There was a grave miscarriage of justice, and it caused a murkiness in the rules of what matters more, whether you say the answer or whether you write the answer. My decision is Jane Fonda.
Oh. Wow.
Is that it?
You invoked her name.
That moment,
10 seconds.
we might as well just thrown all the rules in the Schmoedown out. I'll yield the rest of my time. The last 5 seconds.
Oh.
I'm not going to say.
You've already gotten a reaction out of Rocha, which I appreciate. All right. And over to Eric. You also have 1 minute on the clock for our most controversial moment. All right. Are you ready, Eric?
Yes.
All right. Starting now.
I mean, Rocha is no stranger to controversial moments throughout the entire show. Same with rivals, same with championship matches. He has it all. He's done it all. He's done it multiple times in different facets, and I think they all kind of stick together in a certain fashion where, like, they mean something one way, it means something a different way from one to another. However, there's one that I do think sticks out and that will go down in the history as one of the most controversial moments, not just for his career, but for the show in general, which is the O'Russell moment, the O'Russellgate. Just because, look, it was an ugly thing. It was an ugly loss for him and Dan at the moment. And not to get too much inside baseball, it was heated. It was a heated thing. Anyone in attendance will tell you it was a very heated moment for anyone to witness. And I do think it's something that kind of pushed him in a certain direction in that season, which was the middle of season 6 that one time. Step 5. And I do think it's something that he'll remember as something that's probably very unpleasant.
And time. A lot of really great hate. Now, something I do want to mention in the chat, though. Now, we kind of, a lot of these necessary moments, these like really big controversial moments, have resulted in necessary rules as well. We need this. It's because of JT being very strategic, if I do say so myself, and his ridiculous repeat the questions that we have the repeat the question rule now. So these are very necessary to Schmoedown as a whole and where we are. And so if we didn't have a lot of these controversial moments, I'm kind of curious of where Schmoedown would be. So I'm excited to see them kind of talk about it. All right. Now, real quickly, thank you, Lon Harris, for saying maybe that time he stayed in the league despite being asked a question about Karina. Oh, wait. Dang it, he's so golden. All right. Now over to
What are you referencing? Is that happened in one of his matches? I don't watch his matches. They get really low views. So what is he talking about?
It is one.
Yeah, I said that shit, delinquent. Anyway, yeah, tell me.
Real quickly, over to Streamline. Thank you so much to Samir. He mentioned Dwain wins round 2 because the Patriots were the biggest and most hated rivalry to Rocha and Top 10. I even hated them, and I am just a viewer. LOL. No, there you go. All right. I hope you put your vote where your mouth is. Just saying. As far as I'm putting those votes in there, so you guys go over there and get voting. We need those votes to determine who's a winner today. Okay, and and yes, you win. Spiritually, you win Schmoebates today. There you go. Actually, really, just saying, Lon, if you ever want to come on Schmoebates, what's up? I would love that. All right. You guys have 4 minutes to do some Outlaw attitude debating going into the open debate. You have 4 minutes, and are you both ready?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Starting now.
All right, look, the thing is about the Russell thing versus Jane Fonda is that Jane Fonda, yes, it was a huge tilt for Rocha, and it kind of did like throw the match at the moment. Like it kind of like, put him and Nose in a very bad headspace moving forward for the rest of that match. And they lost. And it was very ugly. However, once that match was over, like they bounced back pretty fast. Like Rocha went on to beat JTE shortly after that in the live event. He took that with him. But in my thing, that Russell stuff, again, no too much inside baseball talk, but he damn nearly stormed out of the studio, never to come back because of that moment. And it was a bad thing. And he was able to once again take that, but it was a much harder pill to swallow. If you look at his post-interview match with Dan at the moment with Jen, they were, weeping left and right. They were, it's like trying to recover just to talk about it. It was, they couldn't even like recuperate just to talk about it in the post-match interview.
But that's the thing. So the outcome isn't what's controversial. It's the moment and how the rules were applied in that situation. If you talk about my moment, right? What was said was taken as less valuable than what was written. And in your moment, what was written was taken as less valuable than what was said. That's why this moment is so controversial, because it's shown that the rules don't matter. Which rule is more important? Is it more important than what you say or what you write? And to this day, there's still no clarification about that. That's why that moment is more controversial, because it's shown the inconsistency ever since then, and it resulted in your moment.
It's true. Yeah, my moment has the same kind of level of controversy, which is that again, it's the balance of what it doesn't matter what you say as opposed to what you write. A Russell with apostrophe or not with the dot. The thing is, when Chance wrote that thing down, there was part of the controversy, which was they were also were under the assumption that Dan had gotten the answer fair enough when he got the first turnaround. He just didn't get it written down in time. The thing is, after that, Dan and Rocha, they couldn't tell who was to blame for that match. Like Dan tried to put it on himself, say it was my fault, I blew it. Rocha tried to say no, Dan, you had it round 1. The thing is, they couldn't even get their heads wrapped around as to what went wrong in that match. And the entire match, again, that was the first time they lost to Corruption. Corruption had their number in that match, and it was a huge loss. The power team of the Founding Fathers coming out for their second match, losing to this new rookie from the fan leagues. Think about that. And on their Russellgate, and on top of that, crying after the match. Look, it's a bad look for them. But again, as Rocha does, he bounces back. He makes it into a winning factor in his legacy. He took that into his match against Bibbs right after that, and he won the championship.
And that's what you're still talking about, the outcome and how the outcome was controversial. I don't think that outcome is controversial. I think I would have been upset, and I probably wouldn't have been able to wrap my head around the moment either. But the moment itself, your moment, is less controversial because it could have been prevented if there had been a rule change, like Alex was talking about, after my moment. Had they determined, okay, if we're unclear about what you said, then we go to the boards, or we go to the boards and then ask you to repeat your answer.
So yeah, so that back and forth of them trying to say
that's the controversy.
It didn't happen in your match. It happened in my match. They were yelling, they were raising their hands, they were raising their voices. They tried to fight it. They absolutely tried to fight it. That's what made the controversy flare up. Your thing, with Jane Fonda moment, sure, it was big, but they didn't fight it as hard. They knew, look, this is how it's going to break down. They tried to roll with it best they could. Didn't happen. But for my thing, they were fighting tooth and nail to get that call reversed at the moment. And that's very controversial, to try and get a call actually reversed on a match.
but he
10
fought
seconds.
tooth and nail because of what happened in the past. The past shaped what happened in your moment. That's why that moment was so important. Jane Fonda was so important because it's shown.
And time. I'm sorry. Did I catch you mid-sentence?
That's okay. It's okay.
Cash you outside. Yeah.
I'll save it for the closing arguments.
Please do. Guys, I just want to let you guys know you should totally make your opinions known after the closing arguments. Just want to let you guys know. Don't make any judgment calls just yet. So we have two really fantastic, very iconic and controversial moments overall. So what do you think of some of these arguments so far, John?
I'm loving it. I think it's good. They've done great stuff. Those are definitely two of the most controversial moments that I've been a part of. And I think both of those, ironically, are essentially kind of the same thing in that an answer was given and spoken that was correct. But unfortunately, on the board, it wasn't shown. And so it caused that kind of frustration for us. And I don't think it's a bad look that we cried there, Eric. Give me a little bit of a break here. It's an emotional game. But we got strong. But I got Jen and Dan Morrill to cry. So that tells you something. And it's ironic that I got more compliments from that moment than I ever did for anything else I did in the Schmoedown other than beating Dan, kind of showing my heart. That's how much that match meant to us and how close we were to really taking that thing and winning it. But yeah, it's an interesting point. You bring up the Jane Fonda one. Everyone talks about the Jane Fonda one, right? Saying it correctly, all of that. So I enjoy what we got in here. People could have brought up, someone put it up, the Lena Headey. I could have brought up the Lena Headey match. That's a controversial one too. They knew who I was talking about. They knew exactly who I referenced, and it would have accounted.
You got it wrong. You got it phonetically and written incorrectly.
Geppetto counts. Lena Headey counts.
No, honestly, that should have been wrong as well. So, just saying, inconsistency is definitely something I know Schmoedown and overall that they're working on. So it's always a work in progress. Schmoedown, that's something I do actively love about Schmoedown is that they're actively working to get better in every single thing, which I appreciate. All right, so going into our closing statements now, real quickly from the chat as well. John, what do Eric and Dwain need to do in order for you to be like, yeah, this person totally going to fucking win this question?
Right. I feel like both of them are on the fringe of where they need that extra thing they need to say to kind of win this thing, because it feels tied to me at the moment between both of these gentlemen. So I think this is a very important final round. And hey, it's an Outlaw Rocha debate. So logically, it would go to the final question, like all my matches seem to do. So it makes all the sense in the world. So I need to see them really passionately defend their point of view and undercut the other point of view with a little more knowledge about the game or a little more knowledge about the consequences of those controversial moments. I think that needs to be involved here too.
All right. Okay. Controversial, iconic moments. John, let's see it go. Okay, we have 1 minute on the clock. Since the coin did flip in Eric's favor, we are going to be sticking to Dwain for your closing statement first. You have 1 minute on the clock. Are you ready?
Dwain?
Right.
I'm ready.
Oh, okay. Anticipation. I'm killing it. I love it. Okay, you have 1 minute on the clock. Exciting now.
All right, so we want to talk about the importance and how controversial this moment was. Eric keeps wanting to talk about the outcome. Like, okay, let's talk about the outcome. In that match, after that moment, the Founding Fathers kept fighting. They tried to keep pushing. They tried to stay in it. Jane Fonda broke top 10, broke them. They fell apart completely. And that's not a knock, but it showed the importance of a well-timed challenge and how you can argue in the wiggle room in the rules that still hasn't been addressed by the league. And I don't think there's anything more controversial than that. There are still holes in the rules that have yet to been fixed. And we're on season 7. We're in the new era, but we're still dealing with the same old shit.
Wow.
All right. Same old shit.
Mhm.
Yes, that's true. That's true. All right. Over to Eric. You have 1 minute on the clock. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. 1 minute on the clock for your closing statement starting now.
So yeah, it's like you said, same old shit. Sounds like your moment isn't very special then, because we just had another controversy, Elba, that whole thing. It sounds like this thing is still happening. So it sounds like it was a flub on Rocha's part for sure. However, what did it really do? Like, it was a bad moment for him, for most, but it's still happening. Like, we're still getting it left and right. So the rules have not yet cemented themselves entirely due to that match. It did come up again in my pick with the Russell moment. However, the reason my thing is the most controversial moment is because, again, it's the tilt that hits Rocha after the game. After the fact, the game itself is forfeit because of that whole thing. It's because it was not, again, sorry, John, not to say a bad moment. It was a low moment. That's what I should have said. It was a low moment for Rocha and Dan. And like, they were really feeling after that. The thing is, as John said, it's a moment people still talk about. It's a moment they congratulate him about for showing his heart for the game. And a bad moment, sorry, a most controversial moment doesn't need to be a bad thing reflecting on the character of the competitor. It just needs to be a memorable one. And I do think that that's one that people do remember and now associate with his legacy, as we talked about this entire night.
And time. Oh, shnikes, guys. I have so many feelings. Okay, guys. Okay, let's just take a little bit of breather real quickly. And well, at least it's more just to clarify. I think I need a breather right now. I'm not even talking, but my breath was held the entire time. Okay, how do you feel about this so far, John? How do you feel about it?
I love this. Is exactly what I wanted for the last question. So these guys kind of went at it, picked each other apart a little bit, and then jumped into it and pushed the edges of their friendship here, getting into it. So I was excited to see that. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, they're going to go at it Mortal Kombat style. Who's going to have the death blow?
When competition starts, friendship ends. When competition ends, friendship begins again. So that's how it works. Yeah,
having a real babality over here. So, guys, like I mentioned, over in the chat, please let us know your opinions. Who should win? Who should lose? You can go vote right now for question 3, 2, and 1. If you forgot to do one of the questions, go back and do some voting. Actually, we have 10 minutes on the clock, starting now, to wait for you guys to go over there and vote. So please do us a service and go over there. We're having a little bit of a Inception moment. Look at that. Look at that. Wham! Look at that. C2Aception situation. I'm here for it. All right. Okay. So now we're just going to hang out in the meantime. But before we kind of just chat it up, we also, I know a bunch of us are going to be working on a whole bunch of things over for the next few months, years, all that good stuff. So, John, where can we find you and all the awesome stuff you're working on?
You guys can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And for those who don't know, I've got my YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. So much great program. We just announced our new Star Wars show last night on the Outlaw Nation show with Alex Damon as my guest. Laura Kelly will be my co-host for the new show. It's called The Jedi Way. Brian Ward did incredible graphics for it. So we are looking forward to getting that finally going on the Outlaw Nation channel. And I've got a new one that we're going to announce on Monday morning. You guys are looking forward to this one. You're also going to love my co-host as well. So a lot of changes coming to the Outlaw Nation channel in August that I think you all are going to really enjoy and love and get involved with and like the scope of the channel as well. Yeah, all that's going on. I got tomorrow live Geek Buddies on the Outlaw Nation channel at 3 p.m. PT as well. Me, Michael, and Shannon answering all your questions, talking about geek stuff, and then bringing you in live to ask your questions of us. That's happening as well. Got the Strong Style coming up on Saturday. And, hey, I've got my match on Friday night. Me and Ethan Irwin, 5 p.m. PT, going at it. So get involved with all of that here in my world. And if you want to come find me on Twitch, because at some point I'm going to do shows on Twitch, it's the Outlaw Nation, all one word, lowercase. Go and follow me there. Boom.
Absolutely. All the 1,000,001 things for sure. It's you're always doing 1,000,001 things, which I am so jealous that you're able to multitask efficiently, because I can't multitask for shit. Oh. But a lot of the links are actually listed in the description box below, like Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all those good stuff. So, definitely go and click away on those. And over to you, Eric. Where can we find you and everything you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at NerdChronic, that you guys all know me as. I work for this little show that I think we all know and love called the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. We have a lot of stuff coming up this next month. Big things. We have the live events, like 8 live events going on. 4 matches a week coming up for the singles tournament in August. So lots of busy work for me this next month, but we're handling it as we always do, grinding our teeth on it and like making sure we get it done. And I think other than that, I just host a fun little trivia show with Drew, my good friend Video Drew, every Monday and Thursday. Just a fun kind of sparring matches we have like for individualized movies called Video Chronic Pop Culture Quiz. It's super fun to have people on there, just chat about movies for a little while. And that's pretty much that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and also just want to drop this little nugget of knowledge when I say Eric is probably definitely the most hardworking person in Schmoedown. Absolutely. So considering your schedule, I cannot imagine. So it's amazing. Thank you so very much for everything you do. And also, you made my husband a Schmoedown fan. So I am forever grateful. It's true. He was like walking to the kitchen and we have like a window into that looks into our hallway and he saw your promo and he was like, what's this? And the rest is history. So, and over to you, Dwain. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Okay, where can we find you? What you're working on?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch in the future, YouTube in the future at Burke Made. I got a lot more free time on my hands now, so I'm going to be working on some new stuff. I got some stuff that I'm working on with Alex Marzonia. Don't forget the Enya. I got some stuff that I'm working on with Bobby Gucci that should be coming out here in the near future that I can hopefully tell you guys what we're working on. And then I got a Premier League podcast that I'll be working on with Eric's roommate Luis.
Nice.
That should be coming at the start of the new season in September. So
all right, so you're bringing me on as a guest if it's a Premier League podcast, son. That's what
absolutely. Anyone
give me some Jurgen Klopp love. I'll break it all down for you, man. I'll tell you the truth about that team.
Hey, I'm not a huge fan of Liverpool, but I could listen to Jurgen Klopp talk football all day.
That's right.
I could listen to him talk football all day.
Sorry you don't like the greatest team on earth, but go ahead. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Gosh. I like baseball. So
no, I'm a hardcore Chelsea fan.
You like rich boys. Cool. You're the 80s yuppie villain in every movie. All right, I like it.
I mean, it's really because when I started watching, Didier Drogba was like the only black player in the league. So that's why I gravitated towards Chelsea.
That's fair.
But I do respect all teams. I can be impartial when I want to be.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And actually, my favorite team to watch right now is Sheffield. Like I love watching teams come up and rocket when they come up to the Premier League. So
yeah, sports. Sports. I love sports. Yeah.
I mean, this is a sport, right?
Go team. Go home run.
Yeah,
I don't want to be that person. I'm sorry.
Luis, like my roommate Luis, he's a great guy. He loves soccer and like talking about sports stuff. And like I know he's super excited to start that with you, Dwain, Rocha. I know he would absolutely love to chat about that with you someday if you get in there.
We can figure it out.
Making connections. I'm so here for it. I love that. I do kind of want to mention over to the chat real quickly. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or whatever it may be, suggestions on any questions or whatever may be stuff that you want to see argued, please let us know in a Streamlab or a super chat. We'd really appreciate it. But I just want to kind of go over to the chat real quickly. Salvador and Navarrete. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name, by the way. I apologize. I love the Raider Nation and LA Rams. What up? Being from St. Louis, I support the Rams. Okay.
I do not. Cronky's a fucking douche.
Oh.
He is. He called our city a city that is not good for sports.
Oh no, that guy's I
hate that guy.
Yeah, I hate that guy. Yeah, absolutely.
He's the owner of the Rams.
You know what? There are a lot of the same players and everything. So you know what? If they have a new home, that's totally fine. They're still from St. Louis in spirit. So,
Yeah.
That's what matters. Not to mention they have like the same logo. So I got a lot of that Rams, merch hanging around the house. I'm not going to just toss it. Okay. Real quickly, Level 2 Trading says, Dwayne, did you not see Cole and York in the treble-winning Manchester United team, I assume?
I did, but the year I started watching was the year Drogba won the Golden Boot. So to see a black man be the best, that's why I gravitated towards him.
That's fair. Yeah.
And the dreads.
Well, while we're kind of talking about sports, real sports, I'm watching a sports movie for the very first time. No, this you're talking about actual sports, okay? Football, baseball, all that. Real sports. That's real sports. I'm watching this fictional sport movie for the first time. I'm watching Rollerball for the first time with James Caan.
The original? Okay.
Okay, I know it's but
real sports.
No, thing is, you guys are talking about real sports, but going over into fictional sports a little bit as far as like sports movies and that kind of
Basketball.
Baseball. Okay, so is that your favorite fictional sport? Someone brought to my attention that Quidditch was a fictional sport, and suddenly I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not even consider that? So I want to know, what are some fictional sports that you actually like from movies and stuff? All that good stuff. Anything that kind of like speaks to you? I don't know, that sport from Alita Battle Angel,
I think
Rollerball.
I think my favorite fictional sport is actually from a video game. It's Blitzball from Final Fantasy X.
Oh,
I think that's probably one of the coolest fictional sports. But it's also just impossible to do because you can't breathe underwater for that long.
Yeah, I'm amazed. Like, didn't like Tom Cruise or someone, I don't know, Charlize Theron or someone badass, like train themselves to like be underwater for like 6 minutes at a time?
Yeah, it was Tom Cruise to do that.
Of course, it was Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
I was on Rogue Nation. The freaking drop and then swim for however 4 minutes or whatever it was.
It's not human. I'm telling you, he's like one of those ancient alien people. Like, that's what it is. I'm telling you. Speaking of which, you guys have 30 seconds left to go vote and make your votes known. And Jake is going to, send me all those votes and numbers. So please do your part and get to it. All right.
Please, let's not have a 50-50 split.
Oh my gosh! Again, I am not.
That happened it was in my one against James, right? The
oh my gosh! It was like literally, you had to wait like 20 minutes to get an answer. It was ridiculous. It was bonkers.
Yeah, I remember the one we had the first time was pretty close too.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's what happens when you have Mark Ellis sell baby carrots to children and beer to adults in the same commercial.
Yeah, but my personal hot take, the Quidditch scenes in Harry Potter are like some of the worst scenes in the.
That's true. But the sport as a whole, absolutely.
It's just like very gratuitous stuff.
Yeah.
Well, sports are in general very.
Oh,
I'm very difficult to do. All right, now I'm just going to be waiting for those messages. Okay. Son of a bitch. All right.
I mean, I'll expound. Quidditch as a thing just really doesn't make sense to me. All right. Yeah.
I don't want to say insulted, Eric, but I am downright flabbergasted.
I'm shocked you would say that as people are voting. Don't give them a reason not to vote for you, Eric.
That's true.
You ever been in a debate show?
Yeah, I think I learned my lesson from last time.
Sorry, my cat just like did this weird growl thing at me, like wow. That was really weird. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and mention the questions real quickly. The first question being, what is the best championship match that the Outlaw has competed in? For 67% of the vote, it is Rocha versus Marl.
Oh, wow. Strong statement.
Mm-hmm. Second question. What is the Outlaw's most iconic rivalry? With 65% of the vote, it is Top 10 versus Patriots.
Oh. Wow.
With question number 3. what was Rocha's most controversial moment? With 59% of the vote in favor of Jane Fonda.
Oof, clean sweep.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Meaning tonight our winner walking away is Dwain Burke. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't shoot
Well
myself in the
done.
foot this time.
Well done. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to go and take Eric off real quickly, so we can just go ahead and chat with you real fast. How are you feeling after this? You're currently technically at 2-1, so definitely a great Schmoebates record, if I do say so myself. So how are you feeling about the arguments and everything?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think I left a little bit on the table on the third question. There's someone pointed out in the chat a shot that I should have taken, but I did not take. That Eric's moment didn't even involve Rocha.
I almost mentioned that, but I didn't want to give ammunition to either side.
I saw it after. And then someone also called me a heel, and it's like, I don't know if I'm really a heel. I just like to get reactions out of people. I say things that are meant to invoke an emotion, whether it's positive or negative. That's on you. It's not on me.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of like, I don't understand why someone would call you a heel, honestly, if they're just trying to gauge a reaction. I mean, who doesn't do that, honestly? But regardless, okay, going in, okay, so you've only played 2 competitors. You played Eric as well as James White. Who would you love to go against in the future?
Oh, I don't
We have
know.
a lot of competitors that have been in.
Yeah, that's a difficult question. Maybe the guy who thinks he's the best, or he's just kind of a loudmouth, Billy Belford. He talks a lot.
Bats in the Belford.
He does.
And I mean, just being loud doesn't make you better.
That's the truthiest truth you've ever truthed. Absolutely. Okay, Rocha, what do you think about him winning today? Do you think it's definitely he should have won, he did win, and it's what do you think overall?
I feel like I want to take Eric into a basement and teach him how to debate. That's what I feel like doing. I think he did a good job, but I think Eric has some work to do. I think Dwain did a decent job, but there's no way Dwain should have ran away with this thing. I felt like he left a lot on the table, as he said, in some of the debates going back and forth with him and Dwain. Eric, if Eric was a little bit more schooled on some of the stuff he was talking about, I think he could have had Dwain for sure. But I think it was a lot closer than the scores of 67, 69, and what have you, and 59. But that being said, I do respect the fact that you took this thing, Dwain. You certainly argued your points well. You had notes. You were making notes. You were aware of how you want to argue. You were aware of a time clock you had for yourself. So you prepared correctly, and clearly it meant a lot for you, judging from your celebration of when you won. So props to you, my friend. Plus, how can you vote against a guy who's wearing a shirt, my shirt, for the Outlaw way back when? I respect. It's still one of my
favorites. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. Still one of my favorites, man. Still one of my favorites.
It's the shirt that you can actually see in some of Eric's promos.
Yeah,
from the first live event that I wore when I was sitting in the front row, and it's actually autographed.
Oh,
I love that.
Well, did I do that? When did I do that?
It was after the first live event.
Oh, nice.
And I don't.
Right
yeah, I don't think I've worn it since then. To be completely honest. Well, no, it's because it's got an autograph on it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't wear my Action Live shirt that says like both Ben and Drew's signatures on it. I'm like, nope. If anything, I'm getting a sucker frame.
You don't want to have to wash it and then fade the autograph.
Yeah, Rachel Silvestrini. She told me a way to iron it with like a certain something underneath or something, or to guarantee that it's going to last forever and ever. But I haven't done it, and I'm lazy, so to be continued.
You don't want to tempt fate.
Like hanging out my dresser. So, overall, okay, I'll see what I can do about getting you a match with Belford in the near future for sure. Let's see what we can do. All right, but congratulations. Please hang out afterward, and we're gonna go ahead and bring on Eric here in a second. Okay, Eric.
Hey.
What's up? How are you feeling?
Defeated.
Do you feel like you're in a basement somewhere? Being held by Rocha?
I have work to do. Unfortunately. No, I understand. Like I mean, Dwain, fought his way towards his points, and absolutely, he had some great points. And it's a shame because like that first one, I say like Rocha versus Moro for the championship, that was absolutely a pick that I had in my mind. And I would have loved to like have been my stance for sure. But that's what it is. Like, but it's iconic. It's all iconic. And I think Rocha's just an iconic person. That's why I wanted to be a part of this. I know Alex, you reached out, so like who would be interested in that in theory, and I reached out. I said, I would love to do that just because as Dwain, had his shirt on from the first live event that he went to, I was there too that night, and that was like my first big Schmoedown, like anything. And so I always cherish that night very much. So it kind of put me on my path to cement my own legacy in the Schmoedown, which I'm always appreciated for the show and for John, because like I always say in whatever post that I get a chance to, like John was the first person who like of the Schmoedown like family that stopped and like talked to me out of like anyone ever. And so like it meant a lot to me that night. And I don't know if I would have been as dedicated of a fan if I had walked away from that night without that conversation. So it meant a lot to me, and it still means a lot to me to this day.
Respect.
Absolutely.
See? See, we wouldn't have the Schmoedown without me, people. That's we wouldn't have these great.
Let's calm that right the F down.
No. It was great to meet Eric that night, and I remember having that conversation. I remember just that Eric was such a I gravitate to good souls. I do, because I'm a nutty, crazy person who's passionate. So I seek the calm in the storm. And someone like Eric, as soon as I started talking with him, I was like, oh, this is a good dude. I like this guy. We're having a nice conversation. So I'm glad that in any way I brought you into the Schmoedown, and to have you go all the way up to the point where you're making the promos for all of us and doing such incredible work, Eric. It's an honor. And if anything I said brought you into this to have us benefit from your talent, it's an honor, honestly, dude.
Definitely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Eric, I can't thank you enough for coming on here, and everything as well. I'm sorry, my cat is yelling at me from the top of the staircase. I don't know if you can hear him, but it is obnoxious. But real quickly, I honestly think, I honestly think you debated very well personally. We are allowed to vote. I mean, like vote in like the links and all that good stuff. I personally did, vote in favor of, Dwain for a few moments. But also I voted in favor of you for the final question. I honestly, but also like looking back at David O'Russell, I'm like, that's like one that I feel like if I like drop a little David O'Russell reference in any kind of group on Twitter or in Facebook, I swear it's like dropping a bomb. There's going to be like 50 comments in like 5 minutes. So controversial for sure. No, real quickly, debates have to be emotional, not reading from a sheet of paper. I beg to differ. That's how I won my debate. So, whatever. Okay, whatever. All right. So is there anything, kind of looking back at your debates, though, is there anything that you would have wished you had changed or maybe emphasized or kind of changed your debate strategy about any of the questions?
I would have been a little bit more prepared, like John said about just have my head wrapped around like the history of the game and stuff. Again, I'm very busy these days, so even though I definitely did want to be a part of this, like I had very little time to prep like my arguments as much as I did last time. So like I kind of came in just winging it. So everything you heard tonight was kind of just like improv. So I held on as well as I could in all that sense. So yeah, if I had time to kind of like go back, I think I would have tried to get a few more notes on my side just to kind of get my head in the game a little bit more.
Gotcha. Well, you did have a lot of love in the chat, for sure. Yeah, so, just want to point that out there as well. And there's a lot of love for Lon, like Yodi for Chronic. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get that trending, people. Yes. Word last year I was like, Lon who? And now I'm like, Lon, please. Oh, what's going on there? Okay, I see you. But yeah, nice work, Eric. Absolutely agree. So I cannot wait to see you back in Schmoebates. Is there anyone you would love to debate against in the future?
Oh, that's a tough one. The morbid curiosity side of me says Video Drew, just because we already go at it a bunch of things like every day, just because like she has her opinions about stuff. But we always like have a fun time doing it, so I think that'd be a really fun show.
Drew, she likes arguing and challenging. News. Wow. Yes, Lon, you are very good. Yes. We acknowledge it. We are. All right.
One scene. He did one scene. Come on, people.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Eric. I'm going to drop you off, but please hang out for a minute after while we kind of wrap things up real quickly. Salute. We'll see you soon. All right, John, just you and me, we're wrapping things up here on this episode of Schmoebates. And, real quickly, overall, this was a very Rocha-themed episode and all that good stuff. Now, next week, we are going to be doing an IG-specific question based on the IG tournament. So, obviously a lot of controversial moments, especially this season, a lot of upsets and all that good stuff. Do you have a favorite match from the IG tournament overall?
So far?
Yeah, so far.
No, because corruption keeps winning all those matches. I would say
faction stuff aside. Come on now. Or you can just emphasize it.
I tell you what, I really enjoyed Greg Alba and Kalinowski's match. I went in there thinking that was going to be a drubbing, and Kalinowski went toe-to-toe with him. Alba went toe-to-toe with Kalinowski, and almost, if he had gotten a couple things to go his way, he could have pulled off one of the most major upsets ever in the history of the Schmoedown, knocking out the former defending champion in the first round. And like an NCAA tournament, for those of you who know basketball, sometimes those big favorites, they have shaky beginnings. They come real close and almost get upset, and then they go all the way to the final. So certainly Kalinowski has done that. Shout out to him. I also think the Robert Parker Chance match was incredible. Great back and forth between both of them. Once again, one or two things another way, and chances out again in a tournament. So it's that's how close it is. But you got to keep your nerves, you got to keep your strength throughout, because you never know how the game can turn in your favor or against you. So those are the two matches. And shout out to the Barbarian, who I think gave Chance all he could handle in a couple of controversial moments. That I think hopefully the question, not the question writers, how do I want to say this? Hopefully the people involved in the Schmoedown are taking a look at how those questions are phrased, so that players are very aware of the specificity of what the answer is what they're looking for in the answer. So much love to Craig.
Absolutely. That's definitely a match that will 100% be going down in the books as one of the, I don't want to say one of the most controversial matches, but definitely one of those matches where lessons were learned.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
A very necessary match. I'm glad we have it, in order to kind of better Schmoedown as a whole, which I appreciate. All right, but you guys heard it here. Next week is going to be an IG tournament specific match, referring to questions and everything regarding the IG tournament. If that's something you're interested in and you want to really debate in, please let me know in Twitter at CalledActionPod. You can check out everything in the description box. We're also on Facebook, so please go check that out. And yeah, please like, subscribe, and give us a comment. We'd really appreciate that. Comments are cool. The Outlaw knows it helps with the algorithms and all that good stuff. So we would prefer that significantly. So please. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. This is I'm Alex Beck, part of the Call to Action crew. And guys, keep arguing, keep having fun, and still love Schmoebates forever and ever, because it's the best thing ever. All right. Bye, guys. Have a great one.
Thanks for having me on.